Well, we're definitely moving along here on the Dolphins. I think the closer that I watch them, the more you see the influence of Coach Flores and the fundamentals that he's instilled in the team. It's a good situational team, and that certainly showed up in preseason. Not that there were an exorbitant number of examples, but the ones that did show up, they handled those very well. So that's a big emphasis for us today. And again, offensively, this is a very, very talented, skilled group of players, backs, tight ends, certainly the receivers. They have a lot of weapons. They have a lot of ways that they can make big plays and score a lot of points. So we'll have to do a real good job of defending this group and trying to play a complementary game on offense, defense, special teams. And so it'll be a big challenge for us, like it always is down there.
Start with Mike Reese in front.
Bill, are the plans to have Antonio Brown play on Sunday?
We'll do what's best for the team, Mike.
Is it? Fire Burnett in front.
Hey, Coach, Josh, Antonio Brown, Edelman, is this as talented a group of receivers as that you've been around, as you've ever seen?
Antonio's only practice was 2 days. Josh is in his second year here, so I think we have a long way to go. I think it's a little too early to make any type of evaluations like that.
Andrew?
Will it be best for the team to have Antonio play on Sunday?
Yeah, well, we'll determine that. I'm not going to hand out a copy of the game plan here. We'll do what we think is best for the team.
Just what have you noticed for Antonio in the first 2 practices that you've seen from him?
Yeah, a long way to go. Obviously, he's not familiar with our offense. The systems that he's been in have been, quite different. John does the West Coast offense, which there's very little carryover from their system to our system. Not bad or good. It's just, we've had players before. It's just not all the carryover. And similar thing in Pittsburgh. So, he's working hard to pick it up, and we're working hard to get it to him. But same thing with with Newhouse. Other guys that have come in new to the team. We've had several new offensive linemen here over the last couple of weeks. So that's just part of the process. We try to get them caught up to speed as quickly as they can. It's too much ground to make up in a few days, but we do the best we can, and we'll see how it goes.
Mike Reese?
I know you're just talking about the football. What have you observed from him in terms of how he's acclimated himself beyond the field and meetings and in the locker room from what you've seen?
Antonio's worked hard. Like all the players that we brought in here in the last 2 weeks, whatever it is, 2.5 weeks, all put in a hard effort to try to pick things up quickly. Yeah, he certainly falls right in there.
How much of a benefit is to have someone like Troy Brown here to help Antonio sort of learn the playbook and just get used to the system, considering he has so much experience here?
Yeah, Troy's done a good job for us. We have 3 rookie receivers, and Troy was a same type of situation. When he came, obviously that was in a different system, but he's seen a lot of guys come through that. He did it himself, and I think he can help everybody from the rookies, the guys who have never played before, to new players, to players who have played here a long time, like Julian. So, he's got a lot of experience in professional football with the Patriots, and as a Patriot, as a returner. He's just, he's a good addition. And, he's got a solid role. He helps us in a lot of different ways. Gerard's the same way. Different, but it's similar. So, I'm glad to have both those guys working with us.
Andrew?
You mentioned the differences in the system Antonio's been in versus obviously your offense here. Is that conceptually, strictly to terminology? Where are those differences?
Yeah, everywhere. I mean, the systems aren't built, from the same tree that branches. I mean, they're just formations, play calling, protections, routes. So it's associating one word with a word that and now a new word, and trying to associate those two. But they might be the same. They might not quite be the same. There could be subtle differences based on different coverages or leverage that the defender plays, how we would run those routes. So, there's a lot of variation there. So the West Coast offense has, core principles from one team to another. I think a lot of those principles would carry over. But that's not what we do. So it's not good or bad. It's just, it is what it is. But that's pretty common. We go through that a lot, Sometimes like Newhouse, was in Buffalo. There's a lot of similar terminology. Some techniques maybe that are different, but the terminology conceptually is the same. Some of the play calling concepts are the same. So that's a lot different transition for him than with Antonio. It is what it is. It's not good or bad. It's just, so you take each player, you take each situation, and you learn as much as you can about what that player knows, what he's familiar with, what you do, and try to merge the two together. It's called teaching.
Bill, what have you seen from how the Dolphins are utilizing Minkah Fitzpatrick this season as under Brian Flores' new system as opposed to his first season with the team?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer because they've only had one regular season game, and that was against a team that runs an offense that's a lot different than ours. So in the past, we've seen Minkah do a lot of different things. He's played corner, he's played nickel, he's played safety, he's played what we call the money position. It's kind of a linebacker position in sub defense. Certainly in college, he was an outstanding blitzer, as well as doing all those things for Coach Saban at Alabama. So he has a wide variety of skills. He's a versatile player. He's obviously a very smart player that can handle a lot of those things. And so, where he's been used and where he will be used, I think could very easily be two different things. But he has shown a lot of versatility both in this league and in college. So I think they can put him wherever they want him. And I think they'll do what's best for their defense against the New England Patriots. Next week against somebody else, they may have him doing something else. So, we'll just have to see how they employ him. That's really not a decision we can make.
As a bigger receiver, could Josh Gordon be used similarly in the offense to a smaller, more athletic tight end?
I guess he could. Depends on, again, a lot of tight end routes are different than the receiver routes, just as a fundamental part of the offense. So, when you start talking about tight ends playing receiver, that takes a special kind of athlete and a special type of, I would say, there's techniques to playing receiver that are different from playing tight end. There are techniques to playing tight end that are different from playing receiver, and include slot receiver. They're just different positions. So, could you line them up there? Yeah, I guess you could line them up there, but you're talking about, putting a guy into a new world, really, on a lot of levels. And, seeing a game from the inside out, seeing the game from the outside in, that's a pretty big difference. Not saying it can't be done, but I think, that's the type of thing that would take time, years, and, and the right kind of player that would be able to do all that. So I think that would be asking a lot, really, of almost any player. Now, you could take a guy like Tony Gonzalez who could play tight end and play receiver. He's in Hall of Fame. So, I'm not saying there aren't guys that can do that, but I wouldn't say it's a long list.
Bedard?
Bill, you've gone through this before, acclimating offensive players into your system on very little time frame. How big of a concern is it, working that player in with limited knowledge that they have, with that disrupting the overall offense? And what's the best way to do that? Is it they're in a certain personnel grouping, or they have a certain number of plays?
That's the question. That's the question we're asking ourselves too. So you go through the week like we've done. We've done different things. Now as we get to Friday, Saturday, we'll decide what things we feel comfortable with. But we may eliminate some of the things that we've done and concentrate on a certain group, whether that's 5 plays, 20 plays. I don't know. We'll have to decide that. But yeah, certainly you don't want any new player, whether it be a tackle or receiver or whatever the guy is, making a mistake, missing a block, making a route adjustment that's not the right one, and then turning the ball over, or having a big play against you. So again, you can't cover all the situations, especially against a team like Miami that we know will do some different things. Coach Graham, Coach Flores, they'll put together some things that we're not working on. We know that. and they'll come up, and if the player doesn't have any experience with them, then it'd be hard to ask him to do the right thing. So you have to try to balance what you ask a player to do with what you think is going to happen. Sometimes that works out, but over the course of time, week after week after week, it'll build, it'll get better. We'll have better execution, better confidence, and that goes for any new player. We had that last year. We'll have it this year. I can see we are already going to have it in multiple positions. But which plays, how many? That's a good question. That's a good question.
Coach, any comments or concerns about Antonio Brown's posting on social media yesterday?
Yeah, I'm just here to talk about the game.
You mentioned Newhouse a couple times. What about his game made you think that he would be a good fit here?
Well, he's got experience. He's played both sides. He's again a guy that's played good football. During his time in the league, and he was available. That's the main thing.
You mentioned that moving a receiver to tight end is like a whole new world. We've seen James Devlin play a little bit of tight end on the line of scrimmage. Is it a little different for a fullback going to tight end than a receiver?
Yeah, well, again, as a fullback, that's an off-the-ball, on-the-ball type of conversation. But fullback lines up in the middle of the formation. The tight end is a lot closer to the middle of the formation than a receiver is. But on the ball and off the ball are two different worlds too. It's like playing inside linebacker and outside linebacker. You see the game from a different perspective. Things happen a lot quicker on the line of scrimmage. Off the line of scrimmage, there are more things that can happen, but you have a little bit more time. So it's just a different perspective. But some things are not that bad. Other things could be, a more difficult transition. It goes the other way too. Move from tight end to put them in the backfield. It's the same thing. It's a learning experience. It's something that would take time. Even a player who does it well would have to go through an instruction and repetition period in order to be, I think, technically good at it.
Connor, a couple, Kevin Duffy.
What did Shalik Calhoun show you despite missing some time during such a significant role early?
Well, he was here all through the spring, all through training camp. Had a good training camp, good start to the preseason. But he's been a solid, dependable player for us in the running game, the passing game, and the kicking game. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully he'll be available. But
Rick Bedard.
Landon Roberts has played a lot of defensive snaps for you guys over the years. He didn't play on defense in the opener. What do you think it says about Landon that he's able to accept that kind of role?
yeah, look, Landon's a great team player, and he has a great attitude. He's very physically and mentally tough. It's a long season. We have a lot of football. I'm sure he'll play a lot of football. Sometimes the games go a certain way. Pittsburgh, as a team that could have and had shown other personnel groupings in the past, they were primarily 3 and more receivers in our game, which they were up there last year too, which is a similar situation. So if we knew that was what they were going to do, maybe we would have game planned some things differently. They did what they did, and we played it the way we played it. But we'll see how it goes. But he's a good football player. He's going to help our team. We'll have to take that as a week by week. There'll be other players that their roles will change this week or next week. So that's the way we do it.
Bill, you mentioned Newhouse and his ability to play on both sides. I know Joe Tooney, we saw him in training camp take some reps at left tackle the other night. He took some reps at right tackle after Cannon went out. How important is versatility on the offensive line, the ability to move around and play different positions?
Well, somebody has to have it. If you take 7 linemen to the game and you're really trying to fill 10 spots, first group, second group, then just by arithmetic, somebody's got to be able to do that. So one guy could fill 2, 3, 4 spots, or maybe a couple guys 2 each, or but you just have to figure out some way to put all that together. I'd say most teams in the league carry 7. Occasionally see a team carry 8 linemen, and that's probably why they carry 8, because they need that 8th guy to be able to back up the first 5. It's not like college where you have backup right guard, backup right tackle, backup center, and so forth. We just don't have that. So that's, somebody has to have some versatility. Not everybody. You can have, 2 or 3 players, 4 players, whatever it is, that, really only play one spot. Steve Neal, played right guard for us. That's the only position he played. I don't think we wouldn't have wanted him to play any other position, but that's okay. We had other people that could, that could move, Russ and, guys like that. So that was, but somebody has to be able to do it on the offensive line. There's no question. You just can't go to a game with 10 linemen.
Bill, there are reports that Antonio Brown will not be placed on the exempt list. Can you confirm that?
No, I don't have any comment on that. It's not a decision I would make.
Kevin, you want the last question?
I don't have
On
one.
the final one?
Stumped, all right.
This would be Kevin's last Friday, so I gotta give him the opportunity if you want.
Thank you. I would have been better prepared had I known.
Yeah, you're good. You've asked plenty of good ones along the way. All right. See you in Miami. Okay, thank you.